What's going on, Summoners? Welcome back to another ProGuides Wild Rift video. I'm Kangas, and today I'm going over 10 specific Wild Rift mechanics that you should know about. And by the way, this video offers insight for any role and player alike, so no matter what you play, you'll learn something today. Hit that sub button, and let's get into it. Before we go into details, it's very important to us that you have the most comfortable settings for yourself in the game. Knowing about many things in-game is important, but it's equally as important to be able to play according to that knowledge. For that, we recommend that you take a look at the Ultimate Settings Guide for Wild Rift that we released earlier. This way, you can be sure that you've actually properly set up everything that you need to get that edge over your opponent. So, now that your settings are in place, let's start with the Lone Wanderer. Yasuo is known as a menace on the Wild Rift, be it in lane, skirmishes, or teamfights. This guy is very hard and annoying to deal with, and we're going to show you how you can be even more powerful when locking him in. Yasuo's Steel Tempest grants him Gathering Storm on hit, and upon reaching 2 stacks, he can throw out a tornado that will knock up people and let you ult on them. This next part's important, so listen carefully. If you have other targets around you, do not ult instantly onto the knocked up target. You want to use Sweeping Blade into a Steel Tempest onto another target, and then cast your ultimate on the knocked up target. You'll not only deal damage to the other target, but also deal a lot of extra damage to the target that you're casting your ultimate on. Additionally, you'll gain a stack of Gathering Storm, which you'd normally lose when ulting. Consequently, you'll have another tornado ready after just hitting one singular Steel Tempest, and just this little advantage might change the outcome of the fight drastically. Very important for this is that we have a lot of attack speed, as attack speed will lower your Steel Tempest's cooldown. And if you want to improve your gameplay and just overall know more about Wild Rift, make sure to check out our Wild Rift Discord in the comments below. We got all kinds of players from new to veterans, so come on and join the fun. Next up, we have a fundamental mechanic, flash combos. You've seen it happen, I've seen it happen. Alistar using his headbutt as a gap closer to then flash, pulverize into the backline, catching them off guard, and setting up a neat engage for his team to follow up on. When you're playing Wild Rift, it's super beneficial for you to know what combos you can flash in. If you're curious if your champion is able to do that, just quickly hop into the practice tool and see what you can do. However, there's some really useful flash combos that you may not know about. Ganking as a Jarvan is rather obvious. We either walk up close to the enemy or we flag and drag towards them. But here's the secret. If you're just slightly out of range, you can flash onto the enemy at the end of your flag and drag animation. If properly timed, the enemy will still be knocked up and you will look insane cashing in on that gold. There's a bunch of champs that can benefit from this flash trick for any role and for any player. Even Xayah, a marksman, can flash in a spell of her own. Similar to Jarvan, Xayah can input her Void Seeker and then flash. 1, this cancels the actual animation, and 2, allows her to reduce the time her enemy has to react. It will take some time to get used to these flashy combos, but don't be discouraged and keep on practicing. They can really make the difference in the game. Alright, and now it's time for our question of the day. What flash combo do you fear the most? While I love pulling it off myself, I also equally dread getting Alistar flash comboed because the CC is just layered ridiculously. But let me know yours in the comments below. Speaking of fear, usually you need to be afraid of a Blitzcrank hook, but not all champions have to. Your favorite explorer Ezreal can, upon being hooked, actually cast his Arcane Shift ability to negate the pull and make the Blitzcrank look foolish. Especially in fights, you can tank the hook for your teammate and render the Blitzcrank useless for a little bit of time. This will allow you and your teammates to be more aggressive and dish out damage to swing fights in your favor. Similar to Ezreal's Arcane Shift is Shyvana's ultimate ability. When Shyvana casts her ultimate ability and is in the windup of her jump, she gains a brief period of being unstoppable. Even when hit with something like Blitzcrank hook, she still doesn't get pulled. Additionally to that, she can basically avoid any crowd control coming her way with that mechanic. So when you're in a fight next time and have access to either ability, don't forget to get the maximum value out of it. You may change the entire course of a game with a slight change to your ability usage. And here's another crazy one. Some champions can even cast their spells when being crowd controlled, if timed correctly. Remember Ezreal? Well, not only can he nullify a Blitzcrank pull, he can also cast his ultimate while being stunned. And here's how. When you know that you're about to get stunned and you have no way to avoid the stun, you can actually just cast your ultimate ability right away. The stun won't interrupt your ultimate, and it'll still channel during the time that you're stunned. This way, you might be able to make the best out of a bad situation as you're maximizing your impact in a fight. Obviously, you should still not try to get stunned in the first place, but that's besides the point. Another champion that may do this kind of mechanic is Lux. Contrary to Ezreal, she lacks the tools of mobility and is therefore a slow, immobile mage. Taking this into account makes it even more important to know that she can do the same thing Ezreal can with his ultimate ability. Keep in mind, we want to deal as much damage as possible in every team fight, so if you can press R before getting stunned, do it. And if you've been playing the game recently, you may have noticed Xayah and Rakan making their debut on the Wild Rift. Rakan plays the role of support that is focused on influencing a teamfight rather than just winning lane. Xayah, on the other hand, is fine doing both, as her immense damage allows her to quickly punish any enemies that walk on top of her feathers. Both champions have unique additions to their kit when played in the same team. Rakan's ability, Battle Dance, gains double its shield value and a reduced cooldown when used on Xayah. In comparison to that, Xayah grants Rakan her bonus on deadly plumage as well, increasing both attack speed and damage on auto attacks. This makes up for a deadly mix which not only grants devastating advantages, but also increases survivability. And I probably don't have to tell you about their ultimate combination either, it's crazily overpowered. To add the finishing and slightly romantic touch to the couple, they have a very specific recall. Branding as the lover's leap, either of them may join the other's back animation and recall simultaneously with them, embracing each other of course. How cute. Next up comes a little mechanic that is very useful when you're already winning against an opponent and want to deny them some extra CS or even pressure them off entirely. I'm talking about avoiding turret shots when poking the enemy under tower. Every tower shoots at a specific attack speed at its target. When you want to poke your enemy under their tower, you have to carefully watch the tower as it attacks and adjust to its rhythm. Whenever it's winding up an attack and the projectile leaves towards its goal, you may weave in an auto attack to deal damage to your opponent. You have to make sure though that you get the timing right. Not only that, but you also have to briefly leave turret range and drop aggro again, as your attack just made the turret target you. Repeating this will put the enemy in a very bad spot, as they now have to choose between getting last hits or staying healthy. Consequently, this might snowball to them being pressured off lane and granting you access to tower platings and free minions. A champion that is very well known for this mechanic is Orianna. She likes to weave in auto attacks and spells alike. Even worse is that her ball is acting like a zoning tool that whenever you walk up close to, you instantly get hit in response. And on that note, if you find that you have a lot of trouble playing against such dominant laners, we recommend that you check out the only mid lane guide you'll ever need in Wild Rift. So last time we showed you the power of the Quicksilver enchantment, now we're going to tell you a little bit more about the Stasis enchantment. In a lot of games, you're going face to face against champions that appear to be very scary. With extra emphasis on CC heavy characters, assassins, and a strong burst mage, one needs to be extra careful not to overstep. The best players tend to lean towards a Stasis enchantment for two major reasons. It allows you to play way more aggressive than you're normally supposed to, you gain extra safety by being able to instantly stop and engage onto you by avoiding those crucial spells that would otherwise kill you, and as a result, you may present yourself as a juicy bait, playing right into their face and allow them to potentially overcommit. This will allow your team and you to properly punish the enemy after they just use their cooldowns into your Stasis enchant. Apart from its offensive usage though, you might just use it defensively. Once the enemy team has champions that can easily get on top of you, such as assassins, you should honestly consider buying the Stasis enchantment right then. It makes your life so much easier. Oh yeah, and perhaps the enemy makes a mistake and doesn't check that you have the enchant and will still overcommit right into your team. Free win coming your way regardless of being aggressive or defensive. It's just powerful if properly utilized. The next mechanic we're going to cover is one that not a lot of people think about, space. Depending on what abilities you have and how strong you are compared to your opposition, you may use space differently. If you have skill shots, it might be beneficial to hold them until the enemy uses their available counterplay. When taking a look at Xayah, space becomes especially important. After using a spell, her auto attacks shoot feathers through her primary target. These feathers remain on the floor for some time. If she pulls enough feathers through you, you'll be rooted and take a huge chunk of damage. So you're forced to path around these feathers and are limited in how you can use space and your surroundings. Another champion that has unique interactions with space is Fiora. Every once in a while, Fiora marks an enemy's vitals, allowing her to deal bonus damage, heal, and get bonus movement speed upon proccing it. But those vitals can be reset by walking out of range. So as a Fiora, you can fish for better vitals depending on the wave by quickly going out of range. As Fiora's opponent, you may do the same to have an easier time dealing with her if you think that the vital is bad for you. Also keep in mind that you can cover your vitals with terrain. So the next time she's gonna ult, you use your surroundings. You may deny her the ability to proc her ult by hugging a wall and just potentially win a fight thanks to that. And the final mechanic that we have for you today is brushes. Brushes can be utilized to gain significant advantages in fights specifically. If you're against a champion that needs to auto attack a lot for damage, walking in and out of a brush between auto attacks is very strong at limiting how often they can actually auto attack you. If they don't have a ward in that brush already, or wards in their inventory to drop in there, you can just dodge pretty much half of their autos by just walking in between because you'll constantly be canceling their auto attack animations. Just make sure that you don't auto attack while you're in the brush, because then that will grant the vision of you in there and allow them enough time to walk in themselves. Keep in mind, summoners, knowing about these mechanics is only the first step. You gotta grind some games so you can actually put that knowledge into practice. But if you want even more knowledge, make sure to hit like and subscribe for everything Wild Rift in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to join our Wild Rift Discord down below and answer our question of the day. But that's it for today's video. So as always, best of luck on the Rift. Stay hydrated. I'll see you next time.